So yesterday in Essen there was the German Open and I participated in it with Infernoble. And yeah, I performed decently well, like I went X-2 and ended up in 33rd place out of 500 players, so it's decent. But I just wanted to test the deck and I feel like the deck is pretty decent still without Isolde. Like any match I felt like I could compete with the other decks, and the only matches I lost were like once I bricked in game 3 and the other time game 3 it was almost time. I went first. I had a mediocre hand, so I could play, but not through hand traps. He had draw. I could play through draw, but issues, he also had Ash, and then I could just lost because he could put some damage on board, and I couldn't come back from there. But yeah, all the other matches were completely fine, and so yeah, I just want to give my thoughts on the deck. So yeah, and then for the first cards, I was playing one Gearfried, one Renode, one Ricardetto, one Bradamante. Bradamante is a new addition to the deck, but I think she's kinda nice. Because, first of all, if you draw her, she's not bad. She's not just another copy of Durandal, basically. But there is also a second effect that can come up, because in the first match of the day, she actually won me the game, because my opponent had an Fenrir on board, and with any top deck that's a monster, I couldn't really play, because I had Turbine Grave and another Equip, and if I use a Equip in the Grave, he could just bench the monster I can't play. So I could search her, attack into Fenrir, use her effect, resummon her, equip Fenrir to her. So I removed Fenrir from board, main 2, some Turpin, and go into Angelica, and that won me the game. So yeah, she's pretty nice, but mostly she's there to equip Angelic Ring from the deck. Because getting to Angelic Ring is kinda hard right now, because you can't just dump it with Isolde with all the other equips. But she can equip Angelic Ring from deck to a monster, so you can just search her, and she searches basically the Angelic Ring. The other way to get Angelic Ring is hard summon Roland, but it just makes it easier, because most heroes want to summon Angelica. So yeah, that's it for Bradamante. Then Mogus. Mogus is nice, he just lets you grind a bit more. And also the draw in the end phase is also nice. And it allows you to play the cards as one-offs. Like, without Mogus you definitely need to play at least 2 Renodes, but with Mogus you can play most of them at 1. Then 1 Turpin, 1 Oliver, and triple Oki. I think Oki is probably the best normal summon right now, because Oki just lets you play through hand traps with Gearfried. And the other hand traps, like the Battlement Boxer, first of all they have to draw back that you skip your battle phase if you use Sparrow. But also, I don't see how the Battlement Boxers help you play through hand traps, because they don't really put a negate on board or anything. So yeah, this one just is the best, because it lets you get to Gearfried. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it for the Infernoble monsters. Then to the next engine I played. I decided to play the Super Heavies. Like, those 6 you need to play, you also need to play him. This one's there so that the engine makes sense, because with this Rakaushi is a 1-card Angelica. And then I also decided to play Soul Gaia booster. Reason for that being, so I want to play these over the Battlement Boxers, because with those you can actually put a negate on board and force your opponent to interrupt. So with this, Bike is basically 1-card Baroness, and if you can play with it afterwards, you get just summon the Baroness early. So I think this is decent. Also you can summon stuff like Baguska or other rank 4s with it. So yeah, I really like this card, but you could theoretically cut it, because it's also the first card that I basically put out when siding. But yeah, like, the drawback of not playing spells is kinda huge sometimes, but still Rakaushi is just a powerhouse, even though it's a red flag for deck building. And yeah, I really like the engine. Like, Rakaushi puts so much pressure on the opponent. And then also 1 Diabellstar, because the wanted engine is still kinda good. And then, like, non-engine or other engine, how you wanna call it, Fenrir and Riceheart. In theory, Fenrir is good non-engine. He also puts pressure on board for the opponent. But also in this deck, it's just like not a normal summon, because Riceheart plus level 1 tuner is also a combo. So yeah, Fenrir was also solid over the weekend. Like, or the Sunday. And then to the hand traps I played. Triple Ash, Triple Raider, Triple Mourner, because I want to respect Rescue Ace a bit more, because I can't play stuff like Lightning Storm this side. And Mourner is just another card to stop Turbulence. And I can't play Imperm. Then I main deck Triple Bell. I felt like Bell had solid coverage. I expected a lot of Labyrinth, so it was decent for that. But also, like all the other decks, against Rescue Ace, I can stop the Rescue, like some of the quick plays. Against all the wanted decks, you can just stop Wounded, you can stop Garunix, you can stop Fountain from drawing. Like, Bell was really solid over the weekend. And then, the last hand trap. One draw. The thing with this one draw is, I had issues with my side deck, and I wanted to play 3 draws, but I couldn't fit a 3rd draw into the side deck, so I just put it in the main deck. So that's the reason for the 1 draw. Then the spells. I played Triple Museum, card is still kind of crazy, but I don't want to play Terraforming, because if you play Terraforming, it's really weird with the super. It's a card that you can't recycle from the graveyard with Mogus. So yeah, I didn't want to play Terraform for that reason. Also, Brother Mant is kinda like Museum because it gets here to Durandal. Then 2 Durandal and 1 Almace. In theory, often you don't need the second Durandal, but I like to have the second one for the OK Gearfried combo, because then you can basically force your opponent to interrupt, because you can also summon the Gearfried as your 5th summon with an equip spell, and you can't recycle the Durandal from the graveyard with Almace because you need to banish it for Gearfried. So yeah, I think you should probably play 2 and 1. Then the other spells, Triple Heritage and Rhoda. Still mandatory. The only thing that sucks about those spells is that you can't really recycle them from the graveyard to put your Okashi alive again, because all of those you can recycle with Mogus, and those you can't recycle. Like Heritage has the second effect that you could add it back to your hand if a Noble Knight is destroyed by battle, while it's equipped with Noble Arm. But yeah, like, those mostly can't be recycled. You could theoretically also banish them with your SP, but those mostly kill your super heavy engine turn 2 and 3. And then the Wanted engine. Still crazy. Then to the extra deck. I played 1 Baroness, good Warrior Synchro, 1 Charles, good Boss Monster. This is in there for 2 reasons. First of all, because of Bike, so you can summon the Baroness. And also there because theoretically you can summon Diabellstar. With Diabellstar you summon a level 1 Fire Warrior tuner. Summon this, summon the tuner back, and you have a Synchro 9 for Charles. So if you get nipped somewhere, then you can summon Diabellstar. If Roland is in the grave then, and you can't summon Roland again, you just summon this, and you're basically at the same point with Charles. Then the 1 Angelica, it's basically your new Isolde. It just lets you play the game. Then Roland, you need it. Then 2 SP. Second SP came up a lot, so 2 SP is correct in this deck. IP, I think I never summoned IP because I never did the 1-card Wakauji combo. And mostly I needed to lock myself into Warrior to play the game. I think I might have summoned her once, but yeah, not more than once. Then also the 2 Charles. Still, 3 is too much, 2 is correct. 1 Anima for the SP. Might have come up once, but it's nice to have in the deck. And then for the Exceeds, I played 1 Zeus. I still like to have the access to this card because in comparison to Anti-Zeus, most of the games when I summon Zeus I win. In most of the games when I summon the Anti-Zeus or Typhon, I lose the game. So I decided to play Zeus, and I really like the card. The 1 Baguska, I think he came up once or twice and he won me those games, or at least put on a lot of pressure on your opponent. Like Purrely, he had Econ. If he puts him to attack by Fenrir's life and puts pressure on him, he wanted to steal him to summon Fenrir, to summon Zeus, and then he didn't play afterwards. So yeah, Baguska was definitely solid. 1 Dempsey because you need it for the most combo lines. And then also 1 Cowboy, because I want to have something for time that's different than Angelic Ring, because it's kinda hard to get to Angelic Ring without paying life points often. But I only summoned him once, and that wasn't even in time. I summoned him because I needed another Fire Warrior in the graveyard. First of all, I was Warrior locked, so I couldn't summon Baguska even if I wanted to, and it wouldn't have sent the monster to the graveyard. And I already used Dempsey, so I just needed to summon Cowboy and detach the material, because I also think I went to both HPs in this game state. So yeah, that's it for the extra deck. Then to the side deck. In the side deck there's the 1 Angelic Ring. Like, it's harder to get to it, and I think it's not meant to main deck it, because not that many players are playing power spells in the main deck. At least I expected this to happen. And so I decided it. For the matchups like Despia, where I expect Super Purrely, or if I see a droplet game 1, I can still put it in there. It's just a lot more effort to get to this card now. So I only wanted to have it in the deck if I really know it will put in pressure. Then 3 Bystials. In theory I would have wanted to play 4, but yeah, I had issues with like space inside. I didn't want to go over, put a lot more cards in my main deck because I already just had like 51, because 51 is a great number. Then the second and third draw. And then for Purrely, specifically 3 Kurikawa. Like there are also some other cases when I could put it in, like against Ranker Soul. On Saturday before the event, we were playing like a bigger local. It was the 5th round. I played against Ranker Soul, I tributed 4 monsters and had a 7500 Kurikawa and could just attack for game. So Kurikawa was decent, and I can't play cards like Encore Spellbound, so yeah. Then Triple Crow, also for Purrely. But yeah, it also hits like some decks where Bystials can't hit the cards. So I like DD Crow. You could probably cut him and play other cards, but I like DD Crow. I might cut him and play Pancratops because I realized I have some issues with cards against Centurion. DD Crow is also a card that helps against Centurion, that's also a reason why it's in there. But yeah, Pancratops might also be a good card to play. But like I said, I've had issues with the side deck space, so I couldn't put it in there. And then the last 3 cards, 3 Nibiru. Yeah, so that's it with the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you guys soon.